there's a lot of humor and jokes to be found in the sci-fi arena where an alien spaceship lands, the little creatures get off, find someone, and ask, "Take me to your leader." Who is the leader? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah. This is day 1 of Mishpatim. So we began in Shemot, or Exodus chapter 21, verse 1, and we began to look at the varied decrees, laws, judgments, as Mishpatim means, that should, quote unquote, should shape our lives. Verse 1 says, "These are the right rulings which you are to set before them," that is, before Am Israel. "When you buy a Hebrew servant, he serves 6 years, and in the 7th he goes out free for naught or nothing. If he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. His master has given him a wife, and she's borne him sons or daughters. The wife and her children are her master's, and he goes out by himself." So we'll pause at verse 4 for today. Let's raise our eyebrows, if you will, everyone collectively, with verse 2. When you buy a Hebrew servant. Questions should be asked here. Why would former slaves want to own a slave, a Hebrew slave or any other variety? Shouldn't they be on the world's greatest campaign of being anti-slavery? The reality is Hebrew people did own slaves. Very often they did. But not without certain prescribed boundaries. So the ones that are immediately in this audience, not future generations, but this particular group that is with Moshe out in the wilderness, they are very familiar with what slave lifestyle is. For them, it meant forced labor. It meant restricted movement. It meant bodily punishment on the whim of a taskmaster. It meant living in humble situations. It meant being controlled and needing deliverance. It meant future generations had no aspect, or prospect would be a better word, of a different future. So should I bring another generation into this world if they're only going to end up as a slave as I am? All of those are negatives. Can't think of any positive situation from Mitzrayite slavery. It's all negative. It's all humiliating. It's all degrading. And it is a non-desirable life in all of its aspects, all of its particulars. So the first set of decrees, the very first ones that Yah gives after the 10 words, are about how a Hebrew should treat a fellow Hebrew slave. Of all the subjects that are possible, that could have been positive, Yah starts out here with slavery. Why? These things are set here for us to see little red lights and flags flashing and waving so that we ask these questions. Well, there are at least 2 thoughts here. One is whether we would agree to this readily or not, the reality is people often put themselves in a slavery situation. We're not talking about based on ethnicity or race. We're talking about because of personal choice. People put themselves into, very, very commonly, financial slavery all the time. Over-obligating, spending more than what they're bringing in, getting themselves into a financial hole. It's part of, unfortunately, the path of the American dream. We dream bigger than our capability to finance. And instead of waiting until we grow our finance to catch up with our dreams, we take the plunge believing I'll reach the top and then I'll pay it all off. Most of the time, almost all of the time, that plan does not work. As a nation, we have already not only bankrupted ourselves in this generation and the next, but now we are bankrupting our grandchildren and beyond. We just simply can't continue fiscally at the means of which we are now operating. You don't have to be a genius to figure that part out. Besides finances, people will put themselves into health slavery, living according to their taste buds and their appetites instead of their bodily structure and what they're capable of doing. I won't camp out real long right there. Relational slavery. People obligate themselves to relationships that are toxic and destructive and demoralizing and oftentimes abusive, and find themselves trapped and unable to get out. This is a short list of a long list. Slave situations happen frequently, more than we realize. Understanding this, those that come to the rescue of such an individual, taking on the mentorship and the guardianship of such people to help them to break free of their chains and get to the other side, it's a quite an endeavor. Lest we employ the tactics that were used previously against us for those that have been entrusted to us, Yah sets the parameters. You're not to treat your fellow Hebrew who has found himself or herself in an obligated situation to where it's detrimental to their life. You're not to treat them the way the Mitzrites treated you. They are not less than you. They're not to be humiliated by you. They don't need verbal lashing on a constant basis. They don't need you to beat them. They need you to help them. In these situations that we're looking at, primarily, a Hebrew would get himself into such an indebted state that he could not pay off his debt. A fellow Hebrew would pay that debt obligation, and in return, this now debt-free Hebrew, he's not just going to say thank you for the generosity and walk away. He is obligated to spend 6 years with the one who has paid his price and work for him, and that is his servitude. As the new master, the new master is not allowed to abuse this individual. He's not to work him overly hard or harshly, or leave him in debilitating circumstances. But the whole goal here is to raise him up and bring him to a capability of life where he does not get back into the same situation again. Let's put it into some very practical terms. While you may not have the ability to pay off someone's credit card and therefore they are obligated to you for 6 years, that's not going to happen here in America or in most countries. But those that are in the company of ourselves, those who fellowship with us, who walk with us, who are in a relationship with us, they should be better off because of that. We're not just honoring people that are hard to get along with and hard-nosed about everything. People should want to be with us. They should desire to walk with us because they see that those who are better off, that they're learning to become fruitful and that they're getting somewhere. help somebody get somewhere. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.